Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm going to open with a piece that was released by the Carpenters back in 1971. It's called Bless the Beasts and Children. Bless the beasts and the children, for in this world they have no voice, they have no choice. Bless the beasts and the children, for in the world they'll never be. The world they see, light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the peace and the children, give them shelter from storm. Keep them safe, keep them warm. Light their way when the darkness surrounds them. Give them love, let it shine all around them. Bless the beasts and the children, give them shelter from storm. Keep them safe, keep them warm.
Welcome to Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center. Did you know that we were all created by God? Sure. Say to yourself, I am as God created. Just imagine that we are made in the image and likeness of this power, this love, this joy, and it's in us all. And we have within us the potential to do anything that God can do. The creativeness, the joy, the love. We can give to others and be one with each other, and we really are one with each other. Think about that. We have a song. What's his name?
More than enough.
More than enough. That just epitomizes this idea that we have within us all positive things that have God in it. And you want to know the most important thing? God does not make junk. You are potential. You're so wonderful. We're so glad to have you all here. So let's sing More Than Enough and enjoy this day.
There is more than enough in the universe that you created. There is more than enough on a planet of sacred design. There is more than enough for humanity made in your image. Why would I be? Why would I not? Why would I ever think like
And we are more than enough. But why? Why are we one? Because we are all together. We are one. We are connected in this infinite universe. We probably don't really understand it, but that doesn't matter. We know that we are connected. And when we work with each other and help each other and are one with each other, oh, we can do anything. Anything we want in this world. So enjoy it and get together. We have a wonderful, by the way, is there anybody new here? We have our speakers that you'll find out more about there. And Rose in the back came and joined us today. Is there anybody else?
We're here from out of town.
Okay, would you like to say your name?
Patty and Pam.
Okay, good. Glad that you. And afterwards we have fellowship where we join together and munch on it.
Susan, there's two more ladies right here. Okay.
What?
Two more ladies.
Okay. Did you say your name?
Talia and Hilda.
Well, glad to have you. Wonderful.
Thank you.
And let's do our, since we're all one, let us look to the love and to the godness within each of us. And we usually say to each other, the Christ in me greets the Christ in you. Let's all do that, and then we'll sing our next song about children. Here we go. The God in me greets the Christ in me greets the Christ in me greets the Christ in me.
Christ in me, sweet Christ. In the words and no mistakes.
you all join together in our affirmation for the Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center. Together. Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center is a radiant center of divine life, light, and love. We are a thriving, prosperous spiritual community that honors the divine presence in all and celebrates our oneness through loving service in our community. And together we say the Lord's Prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts, as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever.
Okay, so please stand and sing. There is joy in my heart.
There's joy in my heart and a smile on my face. I love you. There's a song on my lips of glory and grace. And I love you. The spirits are singing, feel happiness ringing, the bells that are ringing on high. God is here every day, joy is filling the air. I love you. There is joy in my heart and a smile on my face, 'cause I love you. There's a song on my lips of glory and grace, and I love you. The spirits are singing, feel happiness ringing, like bells that are ringing on high. God is here every day, joy is filling the air, 'cause I love you.
Now we're going to be doing our prayers and celebration. If you have someone you like a prayer for, a situation or a celebration, hold them in your heart. And let us say together, as we center ourselves in the one presence and one power, we realize that our thoughts have the power to heal and bless. We send them out now, carrying love, peace, joy, and life to situations and celebrations that we hold in our hearts. Thought by thought and prayer by prayer, we transform the world. Amen.
So good morning, everyone, again. This is the day the Lord hath made, and let us rejoice and be glad in it. Let me get my glasses. So I think this time, finally, spring has actually come. So let's hope so. So I thought some quotations from various people about spring might be appropriate today. So from Robert Frost, who's probably one of our most famous poets, if we had no winter, the spring would not be so sweet. And from William Wordsworth, who's a famous English poet, behold, my friends, the spring has come. The earth has gladly received the embrace of the sun, and we shall soon see the results of their love. How's that? I like that. That's one I think I'll memorize. From Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey says, Spring is far more than just the changing of the season. It's also a rebirth of spirit. And from a lady called Harriet Ann Jacobs, who was a black lady who was a writer and an abolitionist in the 1800s. And she said, the beautiful spring came, and when nature resumes her loveliness, the human soul is apt to revive also. And finally, I like to always end on a little humor. So my favorite humorist is Mark Twain. Mark Twain says, in the spring, I have accounted 136 different kinds of weather inside 24 hours. So, anyhow, that's my bit for today. And from the Daily Word, today's affirmation is healing. And I'll say it once and then you'll repeat after me. God's healing power is moving through me. Together, God's healing power is moving through me. I am open and receptive to God's healing power within me and within my dear ones. I trust with absolute faith that God is greater than any worldly condition. I cannot limit God. I listen to the still small voice within and feel guided along my healing journey. If I fear and if fear and worry get the better of me and I start to feel anxious, I call forth the healing power of the indwelling Christ. I spiritually surrender my concerns. When I pray for my dear ones, I do not focus on their condition, but rather I see them as the divine beings that they are, whole, prosperous, and spiritually perfect. As I pray, I perceive God's healing presence moving through me and my beloved ones. This presence is the health beyond illness, the abundance beyond insufficiency, and the life beyond death. It is the truth of my life. Isn't that a wonderful affirmation for today? So it's my honor to introduce our speakers, and I told you some about them last week, but I want to give you a little bit of background. Most of y'all know that I've been supporting orphans over in Uganda for about 10 years now. And in fact, speaking of my family in Uganda, they're all watching today on Facebook. They said they would, so I want to take a moment and say, hi, Robert, and hi, Elijah, hi, Emmy, and hi, Kabanzi. I'll see you here pretty soon. So anyhow, thank you. So when I came back from my last trip last fall, the very first week I was back, I got this magazine. It's called Life on the James, and highlighted were Nancy and Steve Hathaway. And as I read it, I was just really impressed that here in Williamsburg, there's a wonderful organization who is supporting orphans over 5 different countries in the world at this point. And so I wanted to meet them and because I was just so impressed. So I had an appointment, we got together, and afterwards I said, I've got to support this organization. So I'm honored that I'm going with them next week to Kenya, and then after that I'll go on to Uganda. And the reason I had them invited to come, as you know, one of our tenets of the Unity Church is that we're all one. We talk about that often. And so it matters not what religion you are. It matters not what color skin you have. It matters not what culture you were brought up in. We are all God's children. And this organization ranged all the way from supporting white Ukraine Orthodox children in Ukraine to black Baptist children in Kenya. And I say that's a living example of the fact that we're all one. And that was the main reason I invited them today, because I just thought you all would enjoy seeing what they have to say. So I'd like, without me talking anymore, first of all, I'd like to introduce Nancy Hathaway. You stand up, please, Nancy. And Nancy started this organization 20 years ago along with her husband, Steve. And it's really grown since then. They started in Ukraine. And she has actually adopted 3 young girls from Ukraine, and now are grown-up adults, and which I think is just terrific. And I want to say something before I introduce Amber. A couple statistics I want to throw at you because I've been doing some study on this week. First of all, in Kenya, there are like 1.6 million orphans in Kenya, and they make up 13% of the entire population. And in Uganda, they have 2.4 million orphans that make up 15% of the population. Imagine if 15% of our population were orphans, how much that would just be amazing to have that happen. And one other stat I want to tell you, which I was really impressed with, is around the world, we're talking Asia, South America, Africa, Russia, 50% of all the adoptions that take place are by American families. 50% of all the adoptions in the world. I tell you, my chest just swelled with pride when I read that, to think that there's that many Americans who are willing to open their home and their hearts to these children who otherwise would never have a chance. So I'd like you to keep that in mind when we leave today. So now let me introduce the speaker, and I'll get off the stage here. So our speaker is Amber Linnigan. She's the public relations officer for the Heart for Orphans, and how long have you been with it? I forgot.
Well, I've been with them since 2013, so I was on board, but I've been with them since.
She's been with it for a long time. So anyhow, Amber, you please come up, and we look forward to the presentation.
Thank you for that wonderful introduction. Thank you, Bob, for pulling strings to get us in here today. Imagine with me for a minute growing up as one child out of 200 or 300 children. Imagine growing up in a place where you don't feel loved, where you feel like if you were to disappear, nobody would even look for you. Imagine growing up without learning basic things that you would learn in a loving household. Things like how to brush your teeth, or how to care for your body, how to sweep a floor, or cook a basic meal. Imagine not knowing how to make one choice, not even knowing that you can make a choice, much less knowing how to make a healthy choice. Now, imagine living in an area of the world where the word orphan doesn't tug at your heartstrings. In fact, the word orphan carries a stigma. It's a negative stigma that you would carry with you for the rest of your life. Now, imagine walking to the gate of this orphanage, the institution that you've grown up, you've called home your whole life, at the age of 15 or 16 years old when you graduate, the end of your 9th grade year, being emotionally, maturity-wise, more like that of an 8 or a 9-year-old. Imagine being walked to that gate, waved goodbye to, and not allowed to come back in. What would your life look like? How would you survive out on the streets? Sadly, that is what life looks like for the kids that we work with. That's why Heart for Orphans does what we do. So before I go any further, I want to show a video, This is in Nancy's words, our founder and our director. This will tell you a little bit more about how we came to be and our history.
Back in the 90s, my husband and I really started to get restless with our life. God started talking to us about adoption, and there were lots of stops and starts, but eventually we did go over to adopt our first daughter, Natalie. We went back in August of 2002, and that's when we adopted Angelina. November of 2002, we went back to get our third daughter, Santa Elizabeth. My heart was broken for the ones that couldn't be adopted. What's going to happen to these kids? Nobody's there to care. No mother or father to really think about them and pray for them and guide them. It just broke my heart. I just felt like I had to do something. One thing that came up in the early days was we had an opportunity to bring over the choir from our girls' orphanage. We pulled all these strings and we brought over 41 kids, and through the course of that, there was just a mad rush of adoptions. Out of 41 kids, 39 of them got adopted, and then that snowballed because as people went over and they met other children, they got adopted, and there were siblings and there were friends, and it just became this big snowball effect. I used to count up how many children found new homes after we got over 120. I stopped counting. It just kind of snowballed. Clearly God had moved. Through this time, we just kept praying, what can we do? What can we do? And God just showed me this image of a home, a family-style home that's just run by Christian house parents, where they would learn what it's like to love each other, to treat each other respectfully. I was passionate about it. I just couldn't think of anything else. It was just like totally focused in my head. And once we had the vision of the homes, I lived and breathed it. But you know what? Ideas, sometimes they take a long time to come to fruition. From the point where we had the vision to the point where we had our first home was 5 years. It took that long. It's quite an experience trying to buy a house in Ukraine. We found a house that we thought was going to be great. It was a good price. It was a good location. And so I wired the money over for it. I went over to Ukraine, all set to close on it. And we get to the house, and the whole deal falls through. I had no sooner gotten back to the U.S. when the whole economy dropped. All the banks were closed in Ukraine. And because we had cash over there, we were able to buy 3 houses for what we would have paid for one. Our homes operate like a family. The kids, they learn basic chores, cooking, cleaning, budgeting their money, and they learn what it means to have the Lord at the center of their life. Like, what does it mean to be discipled? What does it mean to walk with the Lord? We have amazing staff. I've been so in awe of how God just provided exactly the right people. They are clear that this is what God's called them to do, and they're going to do it whether Heart for Orphans is helping them or not. And that's what makes the difference. The kids that we have, they know that they're loved.
Ukraine is now a nation at war.
2022 has been an incredibly difficult year. Of course, the war started, and we had to evacuate all of our people. We were unable to evacuate the young men that were over 18 because they had to stay in the country. They had to stay there and fight. And so that was a very, very difficult situation. But, our people that have left physically, they're fine, but their heart is just broken. They've been through such trauma, they just want to go home. So we wait on the Lord for what's the next step. Meanwhile, we do what we've been doing all along, only we're doing it in different countries. Looking back over 20 years, heart for orphans. I'm just amazed at how God has directed us. Family is really God's idea. It's not our idea. We didn't come up with anything new. That's the way children ought to be brought up, is in functioning, loving, Christ-like families. That's the best scenario for them. I believe that God's going to open homes like this all over the world. Small, family-style homes, because that's what works.
Sorry, there was a newer version of the presentation, Christopher, that didn't have this map. So I know this is an old one that I sent you about a week ago. I'm sorry. This is always a work in progress, and as I'm working on presentations, God puts different ideas in my head. So it's a little different today, but I'm just going to go on and move with it. The video that you watched was about a year and a half old. So things move quickly in our world, and currently we have, over the years we've had several homes. Currently we have 7 homes. 2 of those are in areas of Ukraine where there's active fighting happening. We didn't feel like those were safe for our families, so they have been evacuated. And in those homes, we actually have past graduates that are living in the area. They are providing humanitarian aid. They're going out and serving the orphans in their community. Sadly, there's more orphans than ever in Ukraine right now. So they are working and helping to watch over our homes. So we're paying to maintain those homes now. But we have 5 that are fully functioning, fully operational. What I mean by that is that we have families living in them with loving house parents. We have anywhere from 5 to 15, I think right now, orphans living in each home. So we try to keep them small and family style, like Nancy mentioned. But in those homes, we have 2 on the western border of Ukraine where it's considered safe. We have 1 in Romania, we have 1 in Belarus, and we have 1 in Kenya, which I'll talk more about today. So, well, this map helps. What we're doing, let me mention orphan outreach though, before I get to that. In each area where we have a home, we try to have, we have programs that is called orphanage outreach or shelter outreach, where our house parents, along with the kids that are living in the homes with them, will go out to local orphanages on a regular basis and just go in there and create relationship with the kids. They'll let them know that they are loved, that there's a father that will never leave them, and they just build a relationship with them. And honestly, that's where a lot of the kids that end up coming to our homes, that's where they come from. We build relationship, we build trust. We don't force anyone to come into our home and live, but we offer that opportunity to them. And when we've known them and had a relationship with them, if the opportunity comes that they can leave the orphanage or they're forced to leave, they then have a loving family, a loving home that they can go to. Okay, there we are. Thank you so much. Trying to think if I missed anything. I believe we can go to the next slide. The one before this. Thank you so much, Christopher. Okay, so it is working. What's happening after 20 years, what's amazing to see is that not only are our kids graduating and going off and having families and successful careers, but the coolest thing for me is that they are being touched by what is being done for them. So they are now going out in the world and helping others. They're doing that on their own free will. We have graduates in Nepal, in India, in Kyrgyzstan, Poland, Ukraine. We've got 2 in Kenya, which again we're going to talk about today since we're getting ready to visit in about 72 hours, we leave. So it's just really exciting to me to see what is happening. And I can't even imagine when I go and visit homes. Now I start looking at the kids and I think, wow, I wonder where that one is going to be in 2, 3, 4 years from now. Because God is moving. God is working. So it's just an awesome thing to see. Okay, next slide. One success story. We have a lot of great success stories, but one I want to talk about today and focus on is Vika. Because Vika is one of our graduates that's now a house mother in Kenya, and we're going to be spending a lot of time with her over the next couple of weeks. Vika came to one of our homes in around 2010, and then when she graduated, she wanted to go to missionary school, so we sent her to missionary school, and they sent her from there on a short-term mission trip to Kenya. Well, that's where she met her now husband, Boba, and they decided that they felt called by God to go and dedicate their lives to working in Kenya. So they have been working there for 11 years now and doing amazing work. So when we go to visit, the first thing we're going to see is their home, the transition home there, which is called Hope of the Desert House. And that's on, thank you, Christopher. This home has 14 kids living there. They're all amazing, sweet kids. They are in an area of Kenya called Turkana area, Lodwar. This is one of the hardest places to live in Kenya. It's right in the middle of the desert. It's really close to a body of water called Lake Turkana, which is the largest permanent desert lake in the world. So with that comes mosquitoes, and with that comes malaria. So Vika and Boba really, they are tough, and they chose this area because nobody else wants to go there. There are not a lot of other missionaries working in Lodwar and Turkana. So I do want to mention the kids in this home. Last year, my husband and I were able to go and visit. And it was my first time to Africa, and I really didn't know what to expect because I knew a lot of people are living day to day just trying to survive that day. So when we sat down with each of the kids to have a conversation, I really was curious to see if they would have, any kind of ambitions, dreams, what they were thinking, and they did. They had everything from architectural engineers to doctors to nurses. One wants to build her own orphanage from the bottom up and be the director. Just amazing things. But the coolest part was that in every one of those conversations, individual conversations away from everybody else, where we weren't prompting them, each of them said, I want to help others the way that my house parents, Vika and Boba, have helped me. I want to go out and help others because of the way that Heart for Orphans has helped me. So as you can imagine, that really melted my heart, and it let me know it was like a wink from God saying, hey, you're doing good work, keep going, keep this going. So the next thing I want to show you, we're going to see a few things while we're there. We're going to spend a lot of time at that home. We're also going to go out and visit where we're doing the orphan outreach. This is at a home that's just a few miles away from our transition home. It's at the Bishop's house, which Vika and Boba are very close to Bishop Benson and his wife Faith. They have this home in the middle of the desert where it really happened organically. They just kept finding children in need. I'm talking, babies with AIDS, children that have had their parents killed in front of them. A child, 4-month-old, found in a hut just crying that had been there for days, abandoned. Organically, the word got out that they were accepting these kids into their homes. So now they have an orphanage that's about, I believe they have 50 kids there, ranging anywhere from, when I was there was a 4-month-old baby, up to about 10 or 11 years old. So we're going to go visit. And the great thing that Mika does every week, and when the kids are with her, we pay for the kids to go to school. So sometimes they're not with her, they're in boarding school. But when they are, as you can see from the one picture, they will go with her and they will help to teach the kids lessons. They let them know that they're loved. They let them know that they have a father that will never leave them. They do arts and crafts. It's just a really great time. So that's probably the thing that I'm most excited about seeing and most excited for Bob to see when we go. All right, one more thing I want to show you. This is the Hope of the Desert School. This happened also kind of organically. Vika and Boba, the 11 years that they've been there, they've been digging wells and building these, I don't know what you call that, but things to allow for the people in different communities and tribes to have clean drinking water. So I believe this started by Boba just going to that area and starting to dig a well. Well, somebody there had a lot of land, and they said, hey, will you build this church and this Sunday school for these kids? So we did. That happened. It was really successful. The people were really loving having that clean water. He said, I will give you, I don't know how many acres, a lot of acres of land if you will build this school. So a year later, we've got a full primary school, which is a big deal in Kenya. These kids in that community can go for free. There's 300 of them attending 5 days a week. And they have a full kitchen. They have a chef. So they get a healthy meal every single day when they go. So 5 days a week, they're guaranteed a good meal. And the water, that is their water tower. That doesn't just cover the school. That covers the entire community all around them. So it's really amazing. All right, I can't talk all day, so I will go ahead and finish this up. Just want to let you know how you can get involved. The next couple of weeks, please, 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 pray for us, pray for our safety, pray for favor, pray for just a great time with the kids, to build relationship with them. You know, it's not a lot of time that we have with these kids, but God can do a lot in just a little bit of time. So just pray for that. Pray for Bob as he goes on. Nancy and I will be coming back on the 25th, but Bob is going to stay and go to Uganda. So just keep him in your prayers and in your thoughts. Also, if you'd like to volunteer, there are a few things that I could use help with. So if you'd like to email me, I'm happy to talk to you and see what we could do to get you involved. And then if you want to learn more, I've got a clipboard in the back. You can also go to heartfororphans.com where you can sign up for our monthly email newsletter. And also, if you're interested in future trips, you can sign up online or at the back. Okay, so thank you so much. Nancy and I are going to be hanging out, and we'll be happy to answer any questions that you have. Just thank you again for having us. We feel very welcome here, so thanks so much.
So in honor of our guests and all the wonderful children that they served, I've chosen a medley of 3 songs. I'm not going to tell you the titles, I'll just see if you recognize them.
tithes and offerings. So if you take your offering and hold it over your heart or put it in your hands, and if you all say together with me our affirmation for prayer plenty together. Excuse me. Together, in the infinity of this moment, all is perfect, whole, and complete. We acknowledge the one presence and one power, expressing through us in Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center every moment of every day. We open our hearts to the wisdom and intelligence that exists in the universe and in our minds, which are all resources and human encounters. All doubt is released as we trust that our needs are being met in this moment. Divine order is unfolding our highest good now, and so it is. And our little offering is right, box is right there in the middle.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful for all that we have. We are so blessed. We are so blessed. We are so grateful. We are so blessed.
Now we're going to be blessing the offering. Sweet Spirit, we are grateful for all that is shared with Unity Williamsburg Spiritual Center, helping us to be able to meet here for services and events that we also share with our community and beyond. Amen.
Amber, you did a terrific job. Terrific job. Didn't you do a great job? She told me she's scared to death when she gets up there, but you would never know it, would you? Not at all. So today's announcements. Next week, our guest speaker is Reverend Ginny Roll. Most of you know her. She was our minister for back in 2020 to 2022. And she now teaches online spiritual education and enrichment classes for those who are preparing to become a licensed Unity teacher. And we did the poll several weeks ago about our guest speakers. She and Donna Drosten were by far at the very top. So she's an excellent speaker. So come hear her speak next week. Next Sunday, they'll have a board meeting right after our fellowship. And as always, everybody is welcome if you'd like to attend and learn about the church business. And we got something new that's going to happen starting next week. Would you like to know more about Unity itself? Bring your questions and join us for our first Unity question and answer period after the service next week. And Susan Cardozo is going to be our speaker. Yes?
It's today.
Well, Susan told me today, next week. Are you prepared to do it today, Susan? All right, so let's rephrase that. So today, Susan is going to be in the back, and she'll be at the far end table. And so anybody who would like to ask questions about Unity and what it stands for and what our beliefs are, she's the one to come to. Our prayer chaplain today is Reverend Maria, and she'll be in the back there if anybody has any special prayers that they'd like to have. And as always, we mention all prayers are held in absolute confidence. I have one announcement. Again, I'd like to remind everybody, I am speaking on Memorial Day weekend, and I'm going to speak about the World War II Memorial and the Vietnam Memorial and people who were involved with that. And if anybody in the congregation has anybody in the family who either served in World War II or the Vietnam era, and what that means, you didn't have to be in Vietnam, but you served from about 1964 to about 72. If you bring me a picture and just a little bit of write-up, I will include it as part of my presentation. So just keep that in mind. Does anybody else have any announcements? Yes, June?
I know that Heart of Orphans didn't ask for money, but if you were moved and you'd like to donate, I just went online and found, and you can donate on their site online.
All right, thank you. Any more announcements? All right, what we do is we get a big circle, and we like Nancy and Amber, if y'all would stand in the middle of the circle so we can bless you, please.
Come around and come on, everybody. Let's bring our circle together. Come on. There we go. Now, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, we behold the Christ in you. And so it is.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be. With God as Creator, family all agree. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my choice now. To take each moment and live each moment, peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
The light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. And we take our godness out into the world and help each other.